What's up, sellers? It's Rob Cosman from jonescosman.com and sellingforthebeach.com. And this quick video, I want to cover Amazon.ca sales taxes and sales taxes in Canada and how the collection options work. There's some new changes that Amazon just announced, and I want to talk about that, but definitely why you still might want to register for GST. You definitely still want to. If you're a Canadian seller, you're definitely still going to want to do it, but I'll cover that in this video. Okay. And if you're a non-resident, you may or may not. There's some pros and cons. So I want to cover that. So first thing, what are the sales taxes in Canada? How do they shape up? So at a federal level, there's what they call GST, and that's 5%. So every province and territory charges 5%. Now, sales taxes are similar in the States too, where they're based on the ship to location. Okay. So if you sell a product, doesn't matter which warehouse it's coming from, the customer is going to get charged wherever it's shipped to. So every province and territory has the 5% GST. Now, what happened is some of the provinces decided to combine their provincial sales tax with the federal, and it's called HST. So, like, for instance, Ontario is probably the largest one. It's a rate of 13%, but if you're in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, it's 15%, okay? Then some of the provinces like BC, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, I think that's it, still have their own standalone provincial sales taxes, okay? And those rates vary from 6 to 9.975%, okay? So in Canada, when you register, if you register for a GST, HST number with the CRA, then you basically would upload that and it'll collect GST, HST on all those different provinces. And then the individual provinces you register with, if you want, and you determine that you need to, you register with those provinces, and then they give you separate numbers, separate collection numbers, okay? So this painful chart kind of shows you how it's really kind of complicated sometimes, because there's the PST and then GST and then what the total rates are, but you kind of get the idea hopefully from the last slide, so I won't spend much time on that. But these are how the rates are. You can press pause on the video and you can look at them real close. Now, starting July the 1st, so right now this is before July 1st, so we haven't seen it fully rolled out yet and what it looks like on the back end, so I don't have screenshots to show you, but this is how it's going to work. Starting July 1st, Amazon.ca will offer the Marketplace Tax Collection System, MTC. These acronyms are ridiculous. But anyways, basically what they'll do is this is forcing anybody, if you're not registered for GST, HST already, or your PST, then Amazon will collect the sales tax and give it to the government, remit it to the government on your behalf. So this is leveling the playing field to any maybe non-resident sellers who aren't registered, and people were able to buy their, like I bought a computer cable the other day and it was a third-party seller and they didn't charge me any sales tax. So now everybody's going to get charged a sales tax. There's no advantage. There's, buyers aren't going to be trying to shop between, potential sellers to see who's charging sales tax or not. Everybody's going to be the same. So if you are not registered, it's going to default basically to the marketplace tax collection. And the way it works is they've made deals with obviously the federal government, so that'll take care of the GST and HST. And then they've also made an arrangement with the province of Saskatchewan, and they'll collect the PST there. So I'm a little surprised. Quebec seems to be more aggressive. I don't know why they haven't made a deal with them, but I'm guessing if they're already doing Saskatchewan, those ones are going to be coming down the pipeline. So if you've already registered for GST and HST, your existing seller, that's fine. Just leave it. It's going to keep collecting, and that's okay. You don't need to do this. But if you're an existing, my understanding is if you've registered for, say, for instance, GST and HST, but you're not registered for Saskatchewan PST, then starting July 1st, the Marketplace Tax Collection Service will take over the PST component and start charging that to shipments made in Saskatchewan. Okay? So, well, then why would I register? Now, if you are not registered on your own for GST and HST and you're relying on Amazon, then you can't claim any GST or HST that you paid on services for your business. Services, inventory, everything, right? So in the States, it's different. Like you need a reseller certificate and you present that and then they don't charge you the GST. They wouldn't charge you the sales tax. In Canada, we don't have those reseller certificates. So you just pay the GST or HST on expenses, inventory purchases, or whatever, and then you deduct it against what you've claimed, what you've actually collected. So for instance, if you don't register, then you won't be able to deduct because there's nothing to deduct against, right? So especially if you're a Canadian seller, I mean, you're buying, whether you're buying wholesale whether you're buying retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, whatever. If you're buying products in Canada, you're paying GST and HST on that purchase. So you still want to, I highly recommend you still register, because then any business expense that you have where you paid the GST or HST, you're able to claim it back, right? So if you go out and you collect $100 worth of GST on your sales and you paid, let's say $75 of various expenses worth of GST, then you only give the government the 25. You take the 100 minus the 75, okay? The other thing is you'll also get that cash. So if Amazon is collecting and giving the cash to the government, well, if you're doing it, then you get to sit on that cash until you have to actually file your return. Most sellers will do it annually. If you start getting over $1 million, you'll have to go quarterly. But for now, you're like, great, I could actually utilize the additional cash flow from the GST and HST collection throughout the year. Okay. You also remember every month you get that invoice, the tax, we call it the tax invoice. Basically, it's your fees. So Amazon FBA services charge you a fee and you pay GST and HST on that. Well, you can claim that GST and HST back on that expense if you're registered. So as a non-resident, would you register or not? And I have to say it depends. Part of it's like, well, if you're just a small seller and you're just testing the waters and you're like, okay, I'm going to send a few things to Canada, then don't worry about it. Just let Amazon.ca do the collection for you. But you aren't able to claim back any GST that you pay on your goods. And the biggest thing is when your goods hit the border, they'll be assessed GST based on the value. Now, depending on which way you have it imported, if you're using DDP, where your shipper broker takes care of all the GST and they're responsible for it, well, then you're not going to claim it back anyways, because chances are they're claiming it back and they're doing it. But a lot of larger sellers I know will pay the GST themselves because they can claim it all back. And they can also claim back the GST on their fees and, any other expenses in Canada that they have. So it's really up to you. I would still advise, if you're a large non-resident, I would still go through with it, because if you're bringing in your goods and you're paying a good chunk of GST at the border, then you're able to claim it back. So it's really just cash flow. But if you pay the GST and you're not able to claim it back, well, that's just going to your cost of goods, right? It's costing you more to actually bring it into the country, so you're not getting it back. So anyhow, I think if I was a Canadian seller, I would definitely still register for GST, because I want to be able to claim back everything, all my expenses, and even more expenses. Now we're seeing that some of the digital services like Google and whatnot that didn't charge GST before are now having to charge it. So July 1, a lot of things are changing. So I think there's even more expenses. If I was a non-resident, I would still register if I was paying GST bringing my goods in, right? And you can also just say, fine, don't do it, test the market. And if your product starts selling and you're like, okay, I want to do more, and you're going to import more, then you can decide to register on your own after that. So, and if you do want to register and, as a non-resident, we're here to help. Our website, jonescosman.com. If you've got any questions, and I'll put some notes in the comments. But feel free to reach out and see if we can help you.